I'm Juliet from Spoilt Rotten Beads, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make the lovely Butterfly Kisses bracelet, which is made using the Kheops Puca beads, Minos Puca beads, SuperDuos and size 15 seed beads. So this kit is available in 3 different colourways: fern, strawberry and plum. And you can see why it's called Butterfly Kisses, because if I just move them apart a bit so you can focus in on them, you can see how with the Kheops beads we've created these little butterflies here, which look a little bit like they're kissing every once in a while along the pattern. So these are the Kheops beads here. These are the Minos, and these are the SuperDuos, and then we've got little tiny 15s in between as we go along as well. So to make this bracelet, you're going to need the Minos beads, some SuperDuo beads, some Kheops and some size 15 seed beads. And for 2 of these patterns, we've actually used the California coloured Kheops beads. And if I take this bracelet here in the fern colourway, you can see how it's very reflective and sparkly on this side. But if I flip it over, you'll see that you get a completely different effect with a transparent side of the bead. So it's a reversible bracelet if you choose to make it that way. What you can do is do what I've done with the plum bracelet that I'm wearing today, and I have completely mixed up my colours. I haven't worried about what side they sat on, and so mine's not reversible, but you get lots of reflection and you get some different colours. So you can see I've got some purple going on there and some green and some gold there. So it depends really, it's up to you how you choose to make it. So I'm going to pop those to one side and I'm going to show you how to get started. Before we get started, I'm just going to tell you something about the Kheops beads here, because you may not have worked with these beads before. They've got 2 holes in them, and you can see that's one of the holes there and the other hole is there. So they're parallel holes running up the length of the bead like so. So what that means is on this side of the bead here, I've got 2 holes, and I've got 1 hole exiting here and 1 hole exiting here. And that's quite important when you start making this bracelet, that you make sure that your beads line up and you're going through these 2 holes in the right direction there. So take a moment to have a little play with the beads and make sure you're happy with the way the holes go. It will all become clear as we go through this how you need to use those holes. So I have taken my first 2 Kheops beads and I've lined them up so that the parallel holes sit as so. So I've got 1 set of holes there and I've got another set of holes there like so. I'm going to start off this bracelet by going through these 2 holes there. So you can see where I'm going through there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 3 of my little tiny size 15 seed beads, followed by 1 of my minnow beads and another 3 of my size 15 seed beads, and I'll let those fall down, you'll see where they go. There we go. And I'm now going to go back through those 2 holes, those 2 same holes there on the Kheops beads, and pull this through. And your beads will sit around like so. And I've got a little tail of thread here which I'm going to finish off in just a moment. What I'm going to do is go back through all of those beads there so that I come back to this point where I started here. I'm back through those last 3 size 15 seed beads there. There you go. You can see I've made a little loop there. So now I've got my tail of thread here, and I'm going to tie my tail and my working thread in a knot. So I'm just going to tie a regular knot there. And then I'm going to tie a surgeon's knot on top of that, and that's when you go through your loop once and you go through your loop another time, and even another time if you like to, and that makes a really nice secure knot. So I'll pull that down and pull that tight, and there is my start of my bracelet there, all ready to to keep going. And you can see what I've done with this colorway, with this fern colorway, is I have matched up the colors. So on this side I've got these lovely California shades, but on this side I've got the clear colorways going on. Now with this bracelet pattern we start off by attaching the clasp. So now what I'm going to do is thread through the next 3 size 15 seed beads that I get to, and then through the minnow bead, and by doing that I will have pulled that knot that I just made into my size 15 beads there, and I'm ready now to trim off my little tail of thread. So I'll just grab my scissors and I'm just going to trim off my tail so it doesn't get in the way as I carry on with my beading. So to attach my clasp, I'm exiting my minnow bead here, and I'm going to pick up 8 of my size 15 seed beads. And my bar from my clasp, and then I'm going to go back down through the first 5 size 15 seed beads that I get to. So I'm just stitching back down through those beads. Like so. Now I'm going to pick up 3 more of my size 15 seed beads and go through that minnow bead there. There we go, and there's my clasp attached. Now if you want to at this stage, you can work your way all the way back through all of the beads here in the clasp loop, back down through those size 15s and out through the minnow again, just to add some more strength to this piece. But because I'm doing this for you, demonstrating, I'm not going to do that at this stage. But if you were going to be wearing this bracelet a lot, I would recommend that you do that. So now we're ready to start building the bracelet. So I'm exiting the minnow here. I'm going to thread back through these 3 size 15s here next to the first Kheops bead, and then back down through the Kheops bead again. So that's the same hole that I was using before on the Kheops bead. So now I'm exiting my thread from the middle right here, from this hole here on my Kheops bead, and I'm going to hop across now to use the other hole in that Kheops bead. So I'm now going up through that parallel hole. If I turn it over, you may be able to see that a little easier. You can see one hole's going this way, and this next hole that I'm using now is going up that way. So I'm hopping across to use the empty hole on my Kheops bead, and I'm now ready to start threading on more beads. So I'm going to pick up a size 15 seed bead, a minnow bead, another size 15 seed bead, and now I'm ready for another Kheops bead. So I've got another Kheops bead here, and I'm going to try and keep my beads all the same way up. So I'm looking at where the holes come, and I'm going to go through this hole here on my Kheops bead. And then I'm going to pick up one of my SuperDuo beads. And now I need another Kheops bead, and again I'm going to be careful to make sure I'm going through the correct hole and that my beads are the right way up if I want to keep them all the same way up with the sparkle all on one side. I'm going to pick up another size 15 seed bead, a minnow, and another size 15 seed bead. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is go through the empty hole on this Kheops bead here. So that's the Kheops bead, but that's the only Kheops bead out of these 2 here that's still got an empty hole. So I'm going through that empty hole and pull that all tight like so. And now what I need to do is to go through the empty hole in the SuperDuo. So it was laying over here, I'm bringing it over into the middle of my beadwork here, going through the empty hole, and then also going through the other hole there on my first Kheops bead. And I'll let you take a look at that for a moment there. And I'm going to now pull that all tight. And you see how that sits really prettily now. Now what I'm ready to do is go back through this 15, the minnow, the 15, and back through this hole here, the hole that I've been using on this Kheops bead. There we go. And I'm now going to go through the empty hole on this Kheops bead. Now what I'm going to do is pick up a minnow bead. There we go. And another Kheops bead, and again I'm making sure that that double hold face of the bead is always, with this pattern, always going to be running along the center of your beadwork. So if I just bring over this bracelet here, all of these Kheops beads are lined up so that the face of the bead that's got the two holes in it is running all the way down the center of my bracelet here. So that's another way you can remember to line your beads up correctly. There we go. I'm going to pick up one more Kheops bead, another minnow bead. Let me take a look at those there, and then of course I'm going to go through the empty hole in this Kheops bead on this side. I couldn't see the hole there. There we are. And then through this hole here on the Kheops, right next to my fingertip there. There we go. You can see how this is really now beginning to build quite nicely. And now what I need to do is go through this minnow bead and through the same hole on the Kheops bead the next Kheops bead that I get to. There we go. And then I'm going to hop up through the empty hole on this Kheops bead, and I'm ready to do the whole thing again. So to do this one more time for you, I am going to pick up a size 15 seed bead, a minnow bead, another size 15 seed bead, and again lining up my Kheops bead, go through my Kheops bead so that the double-faced side is pointing towards the center of what's going to be my bracelet. Then I'm going to pick up a SuperDuo bead, another Kheops bead, another size 15 minnow, size 15. There we go. Go through the empty hole on this Kheops bead here, and then pull this SuperDuo over to the center and go through the hole in the SuperDuo bead and also the second hole there in the Kheops bead. And I'll pull this tight and you'll see again that pattern developing there. And all you need to do is just repeat this until your bracelet is around about 1.5 centimeters shorter than you want it to be. So I've kept on beading now, and my bracelet is now just a little shorter than I want my finished piece to be. And I'm exiting from this hole here on my Kheops bead, so that's the hole closest to my SuperDuo here. And what I'm going to do now is hop across onto the empty hole there on my last Kheops bead, like so. And now what I'm going to do is pick up 3 of my size 15 seed beads, a minnow bead, and 3 more of my size 15s, and go through the empty hole on the opposite Kheops bead. Pull that tight and then go through the first Kheops bead again. Here we go. And now I'm going to work through the three size 15s and the minnow bead that I just added, so that I'm exiting that minnow bead. There we go. And now I'm ready to add my clasp on. So to do that, it's just a repeat of what you did at the very beginning of this bracelet. You need to pick up 8 size 15 seed beads. There we go. The other half of your toggle, and then go back down through the first 5 size 15 seed beads that you get to. And pull it all tight. And now I'm going to pick up 3 more size 15 seed beads and then go back through the minnow bead, like so. And then, just as I said before at the beginning, you can add some strength to your clasp loop just by working back up through all of those size 15 seed beads one more time. And I am going to demonstrate for you just how to do that now, because it's a good idea with all of your clasps really to add some strength to them by making sure that you double up through your clasp loops when you're making a piece of jewellery, because there's nothing more frustrating than making something beautiful and having it break on you on the clasp loop. There we are. So I've gone back through everything now. My clasp loop is really nice and secure. What I'm going to do is just finish off my thread now by stitching down a little bit into my beadwork, and then tying several half hitch knots around my thread. So I'm hooking my thread underneath the thread inside my beadwork so that I get a little loop there, and go through that loop and pull that tight. And I can do that again. Just make sure that you make sure that that knot that you're making sits on the thread itself and not over the top of a bead. And you go through another bead here and do it again between these 2 Kheops beads, and you can do this quite a few times just to make sure that your thread is nicely securely knotted off before you trim it. There we go. Pull that knot inside a bead. I'm going to do it one more time now. There we go, my thread is nice and secure now, so what I can do is just use my little scissors there to trim off my excess thread. And there is my lovely Butterfly Kisses bracelet in the fern colourway. Here it is in the strawberry colourway, and on my wrist I'm wearing it in the beautiful plum colourway. So I do hope you enjoyed watching this video tutorial. Please let us know what you think in the comments below, and check back soon for more inspiration. Bye bye.